Hello, everybody, and welcome to Larry Vaughn's first Larry Vaughn Show. You know, I thought a lot about it. You know, we've done several podcasts, and we're trying to get them all put together so we can release them. Well, the first one that I want to release is Michael Marquez. He was a mentee of mine, and he is a.k.a. Sharky. He is a professional fisherman, and he has got a guide service down in Galveston. He has been the number one guide service, I believe, for the last 10 years, I think it is. But just a heck of a man. He's just absolutely wonderful. I know his family. His family is absolutely wonderful too. So you're really going to enjoy him, you know, and I'm really excited that he was on the podcast. And also I want to mention that, you know, when you're trying to learn how to podcast, you know, there's always going to be mistakes in there, you know, but I've heard from Sean Kennel, you know, he is definitely one of the ones that I've been following for several years with Think Media. And he said, just start. And so, by God, that's what we're doing. We are just starting. But one of the funniest things is, you know, you try to make sure you look right, you talk right, your lighting's right and everything. But on this podcast, you're going to find out about halfway through, I realized that I had left the restroom door open. So you can just see right into the restroom, you know, but didn't change it. I just left it because we were in such a good conversation. I didn't want to change it. So I think y'all will enjoy this very, very much. But thank you very much for taking the time to watch the very first podcast for the Larry Vaughn Show. Enjoy. Michael Marquez, a.k.a. Sharky. Got him right here. Love this boy. I've known him for many, many years. Did a little mentoring with him when I lived a couple doors down, you know, there on Tiki Island. And he was going to school at the time, right there at the Marine. That was A&M, I think it was.
Yes, yeah. It was.
And, you know, a story on this real quick before we get started, which I love telling this story. And I know his mama very well. And God, what a lovely lady she is. Of course, she runs the whole operation, I'm telling you.
Yeah, I just sit here and look good. Or try.
You just go fishing every once in a while. No, but oh my God, he graduated from college there, you know, and he was still just wet behind the ears. And boy, his mama came storming down to the house. Boy, she banged on my door and she says, Larry, you got to come down here and talk to Michael. Says he wants to be a fishing guide. You know, he doesn't want to use his degree. You know, he's got to have insurance. I said, I'll go down there and I'll talk to him. So anyway, I went down there and talked to him, and you know, we had a good conversation. And I asked him, I said, well, Michael, what do you really want? He said, Larry, this is what I want to do. And I says, well, I'm going to tell you right now, you need to do it. Because you'll go in life and you'll say, boy, I wished I sure would have done that. I'm telling you, his mom, Connie, she about slapped me on the back of the head and pulled me by the ear and said, I didn't bring you over here to tell him to go be a fishing guide. So anyway, but look at you today.
Hey, we're fishing. We haven't stopped.
You're running what, 5 boats?
Yep, yes sir. We got 5 boats. We actually have 6 boats. We've got a backup boat, but yeah, we're full force. We have, since that conversation, it has been go, 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 and that was over a decade ago. And I haven't been able to get away from it, man. It's just I'm hooked. You know?
Yeah, but you are the most recognized fishing guide in Galveston. And pretty much in all that area. And in Houston, too.
I guess it depends who you ask, but...
No, that's a fact. Because I talk to a lot of people, and they tell me, they say, oh, yeah. And I say, yeah, I usually go with Sharky Marquez. You know Sharky?
Yeah.
I do very well. God, no. I mean, it's just been so much fun watching you just mature and just grow and your good business that you got. And you just,
Thank you, Larry.
know... You got good ethics, you know, you got a good faith background. I mean, boy, that all plays in, Michael.
It does. It does. It's a lot of little things that you know, we tell our guys all the time. You know, it's a lot of small decisions that truly will set you over the top. And it's not easy. It ain't easy doing everything by the books, and there's shortcuts, especially in business. And, I learned early that those never really get you anywhere, for the long run. And so it's been a lot of trials and tribulations, as you know, more than probably anybody I've spoken with, as you've kind of mentored me through this whole journey, and which I'm so very grateful for, all your mentorship and guidance. But absolutely, we learned early, and you do things the right way, and we set our sights on doing things morally and ethically, and God has blessed us beyond what we deserve.
Now you deserve it. There's no such thing as
Thanks, Larry.
of that, So now it's great. Well, you pegged on something I want to talk to you about, because I know you do the same thing, and you're a leader. You're one of the leaders, or the leader of all your team down there. You've got good guys. They've been with you a long time, and I pretty much know every one of them.
Yeah.
And then you've had a pretty good, steady group of deckhands.
Yes,
Of course,
sir.
a lot of them are just, summer help, and they come fish and have a big time. Of course, I've been fishing with you many times, and
Oh, yeah.
several people. And I mean, you got to lead these guys,
Yes, sir.
and you got to talk to them, and give them direction, of how to handle people. Tell me a little bit about that, because I see a lot of leaders out there that just aren't worth
Sure.
a flip, and that they're not, and they don't treat their employees right, and they come in and tell them, or the
Yeah.
employees, how it's going to be done, what to do, and everything else, when all they got to do is just ask them how they do it. And that's
Yeah.
how it needs to be done.
That's right. It's being a leader is something that I believe that you have to. Well, you want it. First of all, you have to have the desire to be a leader,
Yeah.
and then you have to have the tools, and those tools are not. I strongly believe that they're built. They're not given to you. And of course, God blesses people with special gifts, and there's people that are made with better abilities than others. But, I never looked at myself as a leader. I just wanted to do what was right, and I wanted to set the example for our guys. And so we do things a lot differently than your typical charter business out here. We have a monthly meeting the first Monday of every single month for the last 5 years. We've gotten together. We've got the crew together, the captains, and we talk about, goals, future goals. What could we be doing better to service our clients and give them a better experience that the other 1,000 charter companies in Galveston are not doing? And so, and then one thing about that, Larry, is I've always been one to. I can't expect my guys to do something that I'm not willing to do.
Correct.
And so I have been down there, and I have put my sweat equity in for over a decade, and I truly believe that they see how hard I work and the vision, and I paint a very clear vision. We want to be the best charter company, and what does that entail? And it looks different for everybody. Some people could say that's 1 million trips a year, and other people could say that's $1 million. Well, for us, being the best charter company is about providing a family-friendly experience for every single customer. One of our mottos is I want you to be able to bring your pastor on the boat, your spouse on the boat, your kids on the boat, your boss on the boat, your cousins on the boat, and you're going to get that same experience no matter what charter boat you get on. You're not going to hear profanity. It's going to be a encouraging, positive experience, start to finish. And you're going to get that from the first time you call and Mama Sharky picks up the phone or I pick up the phone. You're going to feel that you're a part of this family. And a lot of that is passion driven.
Yes.
And we figure out real quick, we probably get, Larry, my phone goes off probably 20 times a week with young men that are, eager to do this and, or think that they might want to do this. And, gosh, a lot of times we try, we'll give somebody an opportunity. They say, man, Sharky, I cannot believe how hard this is. I can't believe, I thought we were just fishing all day, but the real work is everything that's not on that boat is the real work. When we get on that boat, that's time to have fun. But that's only a very small portion of what we do, which is crazy to think about. But it is. I mean, we fish probably 30%, and the other 70% we are maintaining and cleaning and pulling and scratching barnacles off and doing bottom paint. I mean, it is nonstop. The easy way would be to just let the boat go, or maybe we're all tired and we're not cleaning it, so the next group gets on and there's some blood on the boat or whatever, some guts from some fish, but we want to give them the best experience, and that is a lot of little things that add up to the big picture, and our guys do an excellent job at that. And I think consistency is key, right? Consistency is so important.
It hands down, and you made a real good point, and of course I was a print manufacturer, and I had presses the size of semi trucks, and when you go pay $3-4 million for a press, you got, and it's got to be running all the time. When it's
all the time,
when it's running, I mean, it is penny. When that thing's sitting idle, it's dollar.
That's right.
Because it's
great way to put that.
That is what made me money, is having that press run. And the same thing, is having your boat run. But the whole point about that is schedule maintenance. On Monday, this is what we did,
That's right.
Once a week we did this.
That's
Twice
right.
a month we did this. Once a month we did this. I mean, it was all a routine. And those presses ran.
They ran. Yeah.
And I mean, you'd walk back there and see those big son of a guns. It was very impressive to customers, when I'd get them on tour there, and they'd see that, because floor's clean, pressmen are clean, press is clean. Of course, with ink, you can have marked everywhere, But it's the same thing when I go fishing. I get down there and I get on your boat, and it's, and I don't have the best language in the world, But when I get on the boat, all you guys are professional. Yeah. They know me. And walk down here, shake my hand, and talk and everything. It just gives us a good feeling. But there's a reason that you are the number one guide service in Galveston, and I think this has been how many years in a row?
We're on number 9.
9. I was going to say 10. Now,
coming up on 10, the big 1-0.
Oh my God! But you stop and think. With all the guide services that are down there in Galveston and the surrounding area, you have always been number one for the past 9 years as the top, fishing group, in the whole area. I'll never forget also when watching Steve Harvey, and I looked there. I said, "Dad, Sharky, you were on Steve Harvey's show." Oh my God, that was fabulous. It was really, and it's fabulous what you did too. Yeah. I want to hear a little bit about that. I'd rather you tell it than me about how you got on Steve Harvey.
Oh gosh, it was a good one. What a blast from the past, Yeah. It was God put me in the right spot at the right time. Larry, we were sitting right there at the tip of the jetties in a big sport fisher boat. You could tell it was kind of old, but still wanted just a giant. I think it was a 56 or 60 foot old Hatteras, and it had plowed by and threw an anchor right there, within about 100 yards of us. And their music was real loud, and we're just fishing. We're having a good time fishing, and I look over and I start to see white smoke coming out of the vents, down in the cabin area, but everybody is out on the deck having a good time. You could tell that they don't see they're not processing what's going on. And I said, we ought to keep an eye on that, you know? And I'm kind of hollering at him, hey, I don't think something's right. There's a bunch of white smoke coming out. Well, that white smoke turned into black smoke in about 10 seconds. And next thing you know, there are flames coming out of the side vents of that boat. I mean, flames. And they start realizing kind of what's going on. And I looked at my folks and I said, we gotta go help those people. And I took my fillet knife, never forget, cut all my lines because I had my big rods out, you know, and I had my anchor out. I cut my anchor rope, and now we're free floating. And by this point, when I cut all my stuff and I looked up, the whole back of the boat, everything was engulfed in flames, and they had done, God bless them, just about the worst thing possible. They climbed up into the tower. And, you know, no life jackets. They had I think he was 6 years old at the time, a real young boy. And they climbed up, you know, on the fish sight deck or whatever you call it up at Tuna Tower.
Tuna Tower, yeah.
So they're up there, I mean, 30 foot. I mean, it's up there. They're up there. And the whole back of the boat, everything's on fire now. And I looked at my customers. I'll never forget, I had a husband and wife on the boat. And just good old, I think they were from East Texas, good old folks, man. And I looked at them and I said, I need y'all to jump in the water. And they said, what? I said, I'm going to give y'all some life jackets and I need you to jump. It was flat, you know, it wasn't like it was a nasty day or something. I said, there's a little bit of waves. I said, I need y'all to get in the water. They said, what are you doing? And I said, I got to go and help those people. And that boat is probably going to blow up. And when that thing blows up, I don't want you guys to get hurt. So I'm debating with them as I'm kind of driving towards. I'm like, look, just here's some life jackets, you know. So they didn't want to get in the water. So that put me in a spot. So I basically had them tucked down under my gunnel, you know, as I'm approaching this boat that's on just inflamed. I had them kind of lay down on this side gunnel, you know, protecting themselves away from the side of the boat that was closest. And I basically start pulling up and I'm screaming, you know, get in the water, jump in the water, the boat's going, jump in the water. And I mean, it's way up there, you know, and they got this 6-year-old, doesn't know how to swim.
Oh my God.
You know, and I don't believe that he was in a life jacket. You know, it's 10 years ago, but he basically, my concern was the kid. I knew that those adults could jump in the water and 90% of the time they could swim to the boat. But I remember pulling up to him, and right when I got past the tip of that south jetty, you know, the little bit of wave started pushing me closer and closer to that boat, and there was no way to hold myself. So I had this gap, you know, of 25, 30 foot, and each little wave, they're anchored, and I'm drifting, and I'm getting closer, and I remember looking down, and the side trim of my boat is just melting from the heat. You know, it's just, I mean, it is hot, and each wave is getting us closer and closer and closer. And I looked up, and I'm like, throw the kid. And they chunked that kid like a football, buddy. I mean, he went in between, you know, landed in between my boat and their boat. And it was so hot as I was leaning over, you know, each wave's getting me closer. I'm thinking, man, this ain't going to be good for anybody. And he sunk like a rock. I couldn't find him. I don't know where he was at. You know, he hit the water, and I'm reaching down in there, and I can't see nothing, and my back's, anyway, it was hot. And, you know, the good Lord, you know, somehow linked my hand up with he was wearing a little polo shirt or something, and I grabbed that, I felt that material, and I grabbed him and threw him in the boat, you know, and next thing you know, the mom, and then I started pulling, you know, away because it was so hot, and I kind of circled back, and I was yelling at mom and dad, jump in, and by that time, a real good buddy of mine, Mikey Lasoya, had came around, and I got the mom and dad and the son. They got in the water, and we pulled him up, and then he got the captain. But it was just a real crazy time. The funny part of this whole story is I get home, and okay, so the Coast Guard gets there. The boat is gone. At this point, there's nothing left of the boat. It's literally, you can't even see where it was because it just engulfed.
And I can't believe it didn't explode.
So, couple things. That boat, it at some point it did. I mean, it had a mushroom cloud. There's some people that took pictures from the beach. You know, we're all the way at the jetties, and you could see this giant cloud, this black cloud. And so it was a big deal. You know, I mean, that boat was, it did not take long. And anyway, the Coast Guard gets out there and pulls up, and the kid and the mom and everybody's crying, and, you know, and Coast Guard's like, hey, we'll take them from here. And they're like, we're staying with Sharky, you know? and Coast Guard, he's taking us in. And Coast Guard said, no, I can't, you know, I'm sorry, but we got to take you guys. So they took the family, everybody hugged, we hugged, and, you know, glad y'all are all right kind of thing. They got on there. That was it. I never seen them, never heard from them. Yeah. And mind you, I get home that night, or I went to the house. Mom and Dad were living in Tiki. I was a student at A&M, and they're sitting outside, and I'm telling them this story. And they're like, yeah, okay, you know, that really happened like that, you know. And I said, guys, it was real. I mean, it was insane, and we were able to pull that family off. And Mom's on her iPad. I'll never forget it. And she's scrolling through online, you know, doing whatever. And on the Google front page, it's got a picture of this half-burnt boat, you know, while it was on fire, a giant cloud above it. And there's my little boat right here. And it's got the caption like Good Samaritan rescues family or something on Google front page. And back in the day, Google front page, everybody was on Google, you know? Yeah. Oh, yeah. Or Yahoo front page, one or the other. And she's like, oh my gosh. And she gets on there and she comments, that's my son, you know, oh my gosh. And then next thing you know, the news crews and everything started showing up. And to make a super long story short, it was really cool because they couldn't give me the family's contact information, but they were coming from our house to interview me over the course of weeks. It ended up reaching national news, and they were going to interview the family after me, but they couldn't, I guess, legally tell me anything, share anything. So I got this big pair of shark jaws during one of the interviews, and I said, I want you to take this to my buddy, you know, the little guy. And so anyway, he was on the news that night holding up his shark jaws and everything. So fast forward a couple months, I'm in class, and I'm getting calls all over the place from random numbers and, you know, journalists, and they're wanting to do a story, and, you know, and I step out of class, and I'm talking to this guy, and got a real deep voice, you know, and he said, yeah, you know, share me your stories. I was talking to him. He said, well, you know who Steve Harvey is? I said, yeah, that's my man right there. I love it. He goes, I am Steve Harvey. I said, you ain't Steve Harvey. I mean, it was him and his producer, and they said, hey, when can you FaceTime us? And I'm thinking I'm getting scammed or something, you know? Yeah. And sure enough, man, there I am sitting in my boxers and a polo shirt with the camera up here in my dorm room. And there they were. They said, hey, we want to fly you out to Chicago and have you on the show. And unbeknownst to me, you know, they flew the family in too. And that was the first time that, you know, I got to see him. It was a special moment. It really was. And gosh, I mean, you talk about, I mean, it's live, you know, I mean, you go out there he is. There's no, hey, retakes or redos. No. It is there, buddy. You better hope you don't have a booger in your nose because it's on national TV.
Yeah, it's there.
It's there.
But now you had there was a deckhand with you, wasn't it?
It was that other gentleman who was on there was Mikey Lasoya, my other captain buddy, who came over and helped pull the captain out. And he was awesome. I mean, you know, there was a lot of boats out there that day, and there was a lot of cameras and a lot of videos being taken, but not a lot of support.
Not a lot of help.
Not a lot of help. So, you know, it was an experience for sure. And, you know, goodness gracious, it just.
And it is still wild. And that just goes back, you know, to safety.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, and did they not even have a fire extinguisher on board?
I don't know. I heard a lot of stories about what may have happened and why that happened. And I don't know. Apparently there was some leftover diesel and they had just switched it to a gas, and the mechanics were like, hey, let this stuff dry out because it's on the inside of the hole. And there was a little electrical spark. And buddy, when that thing lit up, it lit up.
Yeah.
It lit up.
Yeah.
It was very fast. It all happened in, I think by the time I saw the flames coming out to the time that boat was in the water was probably 2.5, 3 minutes. I mean, it felt like hours, but it was very quick.
Oh yeah. Well, you
Very
know, boy, your customers have a story to tell.
Yeah. They said, Sharky told us to get in the water. Heck no, we ain't getting in that water. We're out there shark fishing, man. They're like, this guy's crazy. I ain't getting out there.
Oh my God.
Good times.
That's fabulous. Good Lord just put you at the right spot at the right time.
I'm telling you, man. I'm telling you.
You know, to get out there and help them, boy. That is a great story, and I wanted to make sure that you got a chance to talk about that, you know. And,
Yeah, it
and
was fun.
also, I think you got a pretty good little donation from for doing that from Academy, I think.
Yeah, which was so crazy because I wasn't associated, and it wasn't till 6 years after the fact that I ever signed on with Academy. And it's just, I don't know, it's just God's kind of little, I think it's a sense of humor. I think he's up there and he's like, watch my plan for you, you know?
Let me test him.
Yeah, exactly. Let me see. Yeah, exactly. Let me test him a little bit. Let me see what's going on there.
See what he can do. Well, tell me about, you know, on when it's very important that you mentor your guides that you have, and then also
Sure.
your deckhands. Deckhands are key. You know, they really are. I mean, they sometimes they handle the tough stuff. You know, I mean,
They do.
I mean, they're handling fish that bite. Number one, they got big teeth. You know, and then the hooks and everything. I mean, my son hooked me one time in the back of the head. I mean, that thing stayed there until I made it all the way back, you know, because couldn't get it out, you know, and it's barbed and
Dangerous.
oh my God. And I'll never forget that guy told me, he says, well, he says, I was a paramedic a long time ago. Let me see what I can do. This is when we got back. We were up in the mountains. Now we were trout fishing. He said, put your forehead down on that work table right there. You know, so I was, okay. So I put my forehead on the work table, and boy, he just got the pliers, and just popped it on out. And you would think that it would be very painful.
Yeah.
Not painful at all.
Wasn't bad. Yeah.
And then he just clipped it and pulled it all out, and then which went back fishing.
There you go. I love it.
But still, that could have been an eye.
Yeah, exactly. No, that's
Could have
exactly
been your
right.
cheek. I mean, you just
Yeah.
got to do it. But what kind of program or how do you set that up to make those guys get trained properly?
So we're very unique in the sense that we really just don't have summer help unless it's for boat cleaning. And even if they're boat cleaning for Outcast charters, they go through a strenuous, because anybody that is associated with us, we want to make sure that our morals and our values line up. And so, you know, we don't have people coming in off the streets to help us clean the boats or do any dock work throughout the summer. It's got to be a reliable source because they're representing our company from the smallest task to the biggest task, right? And so these deckhands are always a future captain in training. It has got to be an absolute emergency where one of our deckhands is sick and we use a reliable, you know, somebody who's done this for years and maybe, hey, I need a fill in, but that is very, very rare. So these programs, from the time that we get a call or a text or they show up at the door and say, hey, I want to be a captain for Outcast Charters. And if they just say, hey, I just want to be a deckhand, we say, I'm sorry, we're not the folks for you. But I always try to help link them up with, you know, local companies, you know, and give them advice on how to get that deckhand spot. Because I remember making the calls trying to be a deckhand too, and everybody's just like, sorry, you're out of luck. So I always try to help guide them in the right direction of how to get on with somebody. But, you know, we're really looking for future captains and people that are willing to learn, be moldable, be shapeable. From the time that they call and we bring them in and interview them to the time that their feet hit their very own boat within our company is about 16 to 18 months. So
Okay.
it is a long program. So Blake, who you've had on the boat a couple times now, great kid from Katy. He had started at the end of last summer, kind of right there towards the end. He's going to work all the way through summer with me. We've already seen that he has potential for being a captain, so we've sent him to captain school. We fund that, and he is going to run this summer, so that'll be his whole 12 months. And then by next spring, he's going to be on his own boat, if all goes well for him. So it is a long process before there's a lot of things that need to be checked off. And by the time he steps foot on that boat, his first time with customers, I need him to be so spot on that I don't have to worry, man, I wonder what kind of service, or I wonder if he's going to be safe, or I wonder if this or that or this or that. So, and the downside of that, but it's just a part of trying to run a top tier business, is sometimes you got a boat that's sitting, and there's a lot of B plus or B minus or B captains that are local, and maybe they want to move companies or switch around, and there's a lot of good captains. And Larry, there's even some great captains, but that maybe our morals and ethics don't align. And so we've opted to let boats sit, let a boat sit through a summer period. And as you were talking about with the printing machine, when that thing is not printing, it's costing you twice as much. And we have opted, and that's something that I'm proud of. It hurts in the temporary time, but we would rather make sure that our customers get that same experience, and we'd rather not run a boat just throwing somebody on there than running it for the monetary value sake.
Yep.
And so, and we have been blessed by doing that, because we have our reviews, and there are 5-star reviews across the board, no matter what platform you get on, and we have people that want to come back. We've built the business on repeat customers. And we only get repeats if we hold up our end of the bargain. Yep. And our end of the bargain is checking all those boxes. It takes a special person to check all those boxes, because our expectations are high. But you know what? The guys that are willing to check those boxes and go the extra mile to provide that service that we're looking to do as a company and as a brand, we treat them well. And you have to, right? I mean, these guys, they deserve it. They deserve to be treated well, because they're bringing their end to the table every single day. They're showing up. It doesn't matter what's going on in their personal life. Gosh, we all have hard days. And we all go through personal battles and sicknesses and everything else. But even on the tough days, those guys can leave it at the gate, whatever they're going through, and they're still bringing their customers. Their customers can't tell that they're having a rough day. And that is a very hard thing to sustain and to do, but they do it very well.
Yeah,
they do it very well.
And they do. I mean, I can testify, to that. But the other thing I like about you and your team, which I've always preached this for many, many years, is the overall collaboration.
Yeah.
Because there's some people, they think that everybody's competition. Well, they're not. I mean, because you help the other guys, guide services,
100%.
and then and then in turn they help you. But just like when you're offshore, there's a lot of places you're at God's mercy, And I remember watching one of your little snippets there. You were, I don't know, you're probably 130, 150 miles offshore, and you catching those great big old wahoo and stuff. Well, there was another boat out there, a pretty good sized charter boat, and they ran out of ice.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, and you would have just given them the ice. I mean, I know.
100%.
No, but boy, they were giving you the lures, and of course these lures are,
Yeah,
that long.
$50 lures. I mean,
$50 lure, boy, I'm telling
a
you.
piece.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they gave you a couple of them, I
I
think.
think 3 of them. Yeah,
Three
I
of them,
was.
yeah. Well, of course, when you're that far out, buddy, I'm telling you, you do anything for some
Yeah,
ice,
yeah.
you know.
That's right.
But
That's
you
right.
just, because you collaborate as much as you can, because you never know when you're going to need help.
That's exactly right. And that's our mentality. Whether, Larry, there's been times over the years where maybe even some local businesses that have maybe said some things or treated us poorly or, you name it. The list goes on. And there's been times where those people might be in need and maybe they're having a motor issue or maybe they've got something that they need out there. And we try to help because you never know. You never know when you might need some help. And, it's all about turning the other cheek, right? And there's people that wrong you for whatever kind of motives or,
Yeah.
and it's just like, the one thing about us, Larry, is there's where we were, and where we were, there was a lot of drama just within because all
Yeah.
these companies are very close to each other. And we did very well at just keeping our heads up, smiling, being positive through the whole thing, through the good times and through the rough times when people were wanting to bring us down. And I'm so proud of my guys for that, for keeping the morale. And now we've been so blessed to have our own space and be able to get our boats ready in the morning and not have to worry about any drama here or anything like that. Gosh, it's been such a blessing. But it matters what you do on a daily basis and your attitude and how you treat other people. It matters. And we
It
fish
does.
because we love to fish. That's what I always say. We don't fish for a paycheck because we all would have quit 10 years ago. We fish because we absolutely have a passion to do it. And my guys have this grace period where they have a time after so if they're on a 4-hour trip or a 6-hour trip, they have this grace period. And mind you, they're booking 2 trips a day. So we have about an hour and a half in between our charters, okay? From the time that scheduled charter is supposed to end and they're picking up their new customers. And in that hour and a half, those guys have to clean their boat. They have to clean the fish. They have to check out their morning group. They have to use the restroom, and they have to eat in an hour and a half, and sometimes go get more bait from the bait shop.
Yeah.
So there's a long list of things to do in that hour and a half. And those guys have a grace period of about an hour where we're not calling Coast Guard. We're not worried about them if they're, 45 minutes late. Those guys don't have to stay out there. They don't have to, Larry, because they're getting paid for a 4-hour trip or they're getting paid for a 6-hour trip. And those guys, if it's a slow day and they're struggling finding fish, they will skip lunch. They will, skip using the restroom. I mean, these guys, just to be able to try to save that morning trip or that time allocated with those customers. And that is really like above and beyond. And I'm so proud of my guys because they do that on a regular basis. They want to make sure that those people leave with at least a big fish or at least something memorable that they could think about and have a good memory. And that's a true testament because if those guys were doing it for the paycheck, buddy, they would leave at 6:15 and they'd be back here at 10:14, 1 minute early.
I promise you.
And they're not. I mean, they are pressing that extra grace period. And if they're on a good bite, they're not cutting lines saying, hey, I got a charter in an hour and a half and I got to get back. I mean, they're extending that time as much as they can to try to give our customers the best experience possible. And it's just, how do you not take care of guys that are out there doing that?
I know it.
You got to.
Exactly right. And
You got to.
Like I've said before many times, you got a heck of a team. Boy, you really do. And of course, a good team members comes from a good leader. I promise you, it does.
Yes, sir.
Because I've got a real good that I friend of mine up in Nashville, and I mentored him, and he said, Larry, they've been telling me to get this job. It was in the book towards the end right there, and he says, Larry, they want me to handle this job, and it's a big paycheck,
Yeah.
and he called me on it, and I said, nah, don't take it. He said, Larry, you're the only one that told me that. I said, well, I'm the only one that got any sense, you know. So sure enough, he took my advice. He did not take it, and I'm telling you, he has got a hell of a company going on now. It's
Good
a
for him.
association management. I mean, he's in home office in Nashville, but then he's got Chicago. He's got something in
Oh,
D.C. And I think he's got something out on the East Coast somewhere too. So,
Wow.
but he got a good group. Boy, I mean,
That's
they just
incredible.
a lot of fun people. Sharky. I mean, of course, you and I, we sat here and we talk all morning. And that's 100% fact.
That's what we do.
But tell me, of the people that's going to be watching this, how do they get a hold of Outcast Charters?
Absolutely. It's easy. You could hop on Google, type in Outcast Charters in Galveston. I always say put Galveston. There's a few other Outcasts with a K but Outcast Charters Galveston on Google gets you right to us. You can click a call. You'll see our number right there on the Google page. Our website is Outcast Fishing with no G, charters.com. You can check out our live availability, our calendar. You can see our trip types. And, a little bit on that, we do everything. Larry could tell you we've been slamming flounder in the bay, and then we've been offshore catching, name it, I mean, just everything. So we do everything in between, from piggy perch to blue marlin, buddy. We'll get you hooked up on it.
Oh, that's exactly right. It's catching fish. That is so true.
Well,
I can't tell you how much I enjoyed you being on the show and coming in here to talk to me, and hope
Absolutely.
we get to do it again. We still have more stories to tell.
Yes.
Yep,
Between you and I, this is like part 1 out of 100 on what we could talk about.
Oh, I'm telling you, it is, man. It's great. But Sharky, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
You got it, brother.
I love you, love the family, and
We love you too, Larry. Appreciate everything you've done and your mentorship, and it's meant the world to us and our family, and we're grateful, man. We're grateful to have people like you in our circle, so thank you.
It's the same here. It's all good. But, all right, till next time.
All right, brother. See you on the next one.
All right, bye-bye. Hey, folks. Thanks for tuning into the Larry Vaughn Show. Your support and engagement mean the world to me. And if you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe so you never miss a conversation. And if you want to dive deeper into the stories behind the show, check out my book, Business Cards and Shoe Leather. It's a journey through a connection, community, and real entrepreneurship. You can also visit LarryVaughn.com to subscribe to the newsletter and browse the merchandise shop. We've got some great things in store. And always remember, make today count.